Yes, and now Ajay Bodke of Prabhudas Lilladher is with us. Amit Gupta of ICICI Direct is also with us. We have about less than 10 minutes before the pre-opening rates kick in. Ajay, hi, morning. Do you think we will succumb to the global sell-off that we're witnessing, or do you think India will continue to be resilient?
I think I was there on CNBC with Lata on Sunday, and we were discussing the impact of the fallout of a Greek vote, no vote. And I maintained even then that we will stand resilient in the face of the increase in volatility that might happen after the no vote. And I believe that the markets will be focusing more on domestic factors. And I think, as you're discussing with the previous guest, the hiatus that one is seeing for 2 weeks in the rains is a bigger cause of concern for me than the global factors. And I think the earlier we get back to normal rains, the market will heave a sigh of relief. Because from excess of 30% in the middle of last week, we are almost now till 6th of June at 0% excess rains. Although SkyMet is assuring that in the current month, we'll end up with 104% of LPA. And August again will be near normal rains at 99% of LPA. Though IMD says that it will be 8% efficiency this month and 10% efficiency next month. So we got to wait and see how the rains pan out. The second factor that market is very enthused about is that in the month of April and May, the government seems to have got its act together. And we are seeing that the government's expenditure for the first 2 months is at around 13% of the budget estimates, vis-a-vis only 10% in the same period last year. And the quality of expenditure also is very good, because plan expenditure has gone up by 4%, non-plan has gone down by 9%. As a result, I think the quality of consolidation, fiscal consolidation, is very good at around 37% of budget estimates in the first 2 months versus something like 45% in the first 2 months of last financial year. And thirdly, the commercial vehicle sales also are continuing to be very strong. We have seen Tata Motors commercial vehicle sales. When I say commercial vehicles, HCV, MCV, which is a proxy to the economic activity, up by 19%, and Ashok Leyland is up by around 41%. Although I must say that the two-wheeler sales continue to remain tepid as a result of rural demand impacting sentiment and delayed purchases, and the car sales, which were quite buoyant in the month of April and May, they also have come off. The core sector data also is positive at 6-month high at 4.4%, representing 38% of IIP. And the April IIP number also was strong at around 4.1%, vis-a-vis 2.5% in March. So all in all, I think, the first signs of green shoots in the economy clearly are visible, and the government has been able to crowd in private sector investment, hopefully, I think, within a quarter or two, with its strong spend on roads. It has spent 22% of its total budget expected budget spent on roads in first 2 months, vis-a-vis 2% in the same period last year.
Okay, Ajay, that's a nice wrap of all that's positive, but I just wanted to tell you about the weather. The most recent report coming in on Bloomberg on El Nino strengthening and getting reinforced by cyclones, and the event is likely to last until 2016. Some of them have said that this is the worst El Nino formation since 1997. Now, none of us are here weather experts. I'm just reading out from a Newswire report. It was eerie for me this morning.
We'll start talking about the IT earnings with TCS coming out with their numbers. What's the expectation this time around? And are you advising buying any of the IT stocks ahead of numbers? Because this quarter is expected to be seasonally strong.
I think the last quarter, there were a lot of cross-currency headwinds. And with sort of, the turmoil in the Western economies, which US sort of, degrew by 0.2% in the first quarter GDP. Europe, I think, is expected sort of, also to slow down. So I would be advising caution before getting into IT names, because I still feel that there will be a lot of headwinds that the companies will have to overcome. And there are better places sort of, to invest with a medium-term perspective. But if one has to do some allocation to IT, then I think Infosys is a company where we think in the medium term there could be some gains to be made.
Okay, so Infosys is one stock.
What would be your pick of the pack? You all discussed IT. Besides that, given the fall in commodity prices, are autos a buy? What are your other buys in distress?
Yeah. I think there are two broad themes, Lata, we would like to advocate. One is, of course, the investment revival theme. And there I think there are one particular sector comes to mind, which is the road sector. And I spoke about the government's large spend there. So both Sadbhav Engineering and Ashoka Buildcon are companies which are at the forefront in terms of the road sector to win some of the tenders that will be coming out from NHAI and Ministry of Road Transport, as well as the PWD departments of various state governments. So in the medium term perspective, in addition to Larsen and Toubro, which obviously is a beneficiary from multiple process industry revival, Sadbhav and Ashoka are ones that one should look at. Cummins also sort of offers, in our perspective, a good medium term entry point. The other theme I would like to look at is interest rate sensitives. And there I think we believe that with the precipitous slide in crude prices, as also the fact that US interest rate increase will happen only towards the end of the calendar year, if not in the first quarter of calendar year 16, as urged by IMF and World Bank both to the US Fed. The two main concerns that RBI governor had flagged off, out of the three, the third one of course the food inflation, there we have to wait out how inflation pans out. So our belief is that the RBI governor might be compelled to go in for a rate for lowering rates in case the food inflation also sort of turns out to be better, because fuel and US concern has been more or less taken care of. So that's why I think some of the banking sector names and financial companies like Shriram Transport, which will be a beneficiary of improvement in HCV sales, and banks like Axis Bank, Yes Bank, and in the public sector banks, I think SBI are what, along with HDFC Bank, is what we'd like investors to look at. In autos, Maruti Suzuki remains our preferred pick, along with Motherson Sumi and also Bharat Forge on declines.